Hey, I hope you are having an incredible day so far. Today, I'm excited to talk about how we can go about preparing for Wrath of the Lich King pre-patch, whether you are making a Death Knight or you are just excited for the Echoes of Doom pre-patch for Wrath of the Lich King Classic. I'm going to go through a bunch of ways you can start preparing for that pre-patch today. Now, we're going to talk first about Death Knight preparations, and then at the end, we're going to talk about preparations for everyone. So, timestamps in the description for your convenience. So, if you're making a Death Knight during pre-patch, there's a couple things you can do now to prepare to give your new Death Knight as much of an advantage as humanly possible. The first way is through lots of gold. You're going to need approximately 6,000 gold combined for both regular flying and epic flying, as well as the mount. So, the rare mount costs 800 gold, and then you can get that epic mount skill for 5,000 gold, and then your epic flying mount for 200 gold. That all adds up to 6,000. Now, if you don't have 6,000 gold, don't worry too much, because just from leveling through Outland, doing quests, vendoring, vendor trash, etc., you'll get about 1,000 gold. So if you're sitting at about 5,000, you should be good enough with that to go ahead and get your epic flying mount once your Death Knight hits level 70, which will be an incredible accomplishment. Now, besides gold, you could also hook your Death Knight up with some bags. Death Knights start with 4 Deathweave bags, which are 12 slot bags. You can get Netherweave bags, which are 16 slot bags for about 8 gold on the auction house, depending on your server's prices, but it shouldn't really be too hard to get that ahead of time at a nice cheap price like that. If you're made of money, you can buy better bags. You can get the imbued Netherweave at 18 slots, might cost you like 40 gold a pop, but it's up to you. But you definitely should get some bags ready to go for your Death Knight to replace those Deathweave bags. Now, a big one is preparing those profession materials. Depending on what profession you want to level on your Death Knight, the profession materials that you're going to want to gather beforehand are going to vary. You could want mining on your Death Knight, which can be trained up to 290 skill just from smelting ore. So you could go to the auction house, get all these ore beforehand so that you can just power level mining on your Death Knight right when you are ready to do that, which is very, very awesome. But whatever other profession you might want to get to level 375 skill, all the materials can be purchased or farmed before you make your Death Knight, whether that's engineering materials, jewel crafting, or whatever. Now, if you're looking to turn a profit, if Inscription comes out during pre-patch, you could sell your stockpile of herbalism mats, or if it doesn't come out during pre-patch, just continue stockpiling until Wrath launches, and Inscription will then be available, and the cost of herbalism materials for sure will go up in demand once players begin leveling that trade skill. Now, you can even start thinking about getting first aid on your Death Knight and cooking materials ready too. Just remember that your Death Knight starts with 270 first aid, meaning you're on heavy rune cloth bandages for getting skill up, so you really only need rune cloth and netherweave cloth in order to get that first aid maxed out. I'm going to link to some profession guides that I like from wowprofessions.com. Personally, I follow them myself for leveling my professions. Now, one other thing you can start preparing for your Death Knight is getting some quest items. Now, some quests require you to turn in items that aren't actually quest items, meaning they can be purchased from the auction house or farmed by a different character beforehand. In this section, I'm going to list out some items you can purchase or farm beforehand, which you can send and turn in for experience on your Death Knight upon completing the Death Knight starting area for a bunch of easy experience. This can also get you ahead of the pack of Death Knights and hopefully make your leveling experience smoother from less competition. First off, there are the Light's Hope Chapel quests. You need to be friendly with the Argent Dawn to access these, which means doing a handful of quests until you're friendly. Once you're friendly, these materials will get you 5 quests worth of experience. You'll need 30 core of elements, Crypt Fiend parts, bone fragments, savage fronds, and dark iron scraps, once again in increments of 30. There's also the quest from the dwarf at Light's Hope Chapel called That's Asking a Lot, calling for 8 unstable triggers, 8 high explosive bombs, and 2 thorium bars, along with a golden rod. That's pretty expensive, all that, but if you want another purchasable quest, there you go. Now, when you're on your way to Orgrimmar or Stormwind, depending on your faction, to be accepted into the Horde or Alliance, this is a great opportunity to turn in some cloth. If you're Horde and Orgrimmar, you get 2 turn-ins at once, one for the Orcs and one for the Trolls. Rashana Straglash in the Drag and Vehenna in the Valley of Spirits will both accept cloth donations in stacks of 60. Total materials, if you're Horde, would be 120 rune cloth, mage weave, silk cloth, and wool cloth. Now, if you're Alliance, Stormwind only has the human cloth donations while you're on your way to go talk to the king, so 60 of each of those is enough to get your max turn-ins. Although, if you really wanted to go around to each major city turning in cloth, you could do that, but in my opinion, it's questionable if that's really faster than just going around questing, since the time between each major city could be quite a bit of time, unless you have a mage friend or a warlock friend to summon or teleport you around. But in our case, I would recommend heading to the Blasted Lands for the next turn-in, where you'll need 6 Blasted Boar Lungs, 6 Scorpok Pincers, 11 Basilisk Brains, 5 Snickerfang Jowls, 14 Vulture Gizzards, along with 1 Imperfect Drenethist Fragment and 1 Flawless Drenethist Sphere. The first set of turn-ins are for the 2 Blood Elves near the zone entrance from Swamp of Sorrows, and the 2 Drenethists are turned into Kumisha the Collector, who is still chilling in that crater along the road. I don't know what he's doing there still. Before you finally step into the Dark Portal, if you are Alliance, don't forget to grab a Netherguard Bitter from Bernie Heiston, which you will need for a quest in Hellfire Peninsula. In Outland, there are also some non-quest items for quests as well, specifically in Zangar Marsh. There's the Plants of Zangar Marsh quest, which calls for 10 unidentified plant parts and rewards about 10,000 experience. And then there's the Sporagar quests, starting with Fasten in the Spawning Glen, west of Watcher Lisa O, which asks for 10 mature spore sacs and 6 Boglord tendrils, which you can buy beforehand. You can also purchase 10 glowcap mushrooms, 6 fertile spores, and 5 sanguine hibiscuses if you want to be able to turn those in as well. There's also the Alder Scryer Rep turn-ins, which grant experience for the first turn-in. If you are choosing to seek out Alder Reputation, then you would want to get 10 Mark of Kil'jaeden, 10 Mark of Sargeras, and 1 Fell Armament. The first turn-in is the only one that grants the experience, that's why we're not getting more. If you are Scryer, then you would want 10 Firewing Signets, 10 Sun Fury Signets, and then 1 Arcane Tome. And that is about it as it comes to quest item turn-ins. Let me know if I missed any. I know you guys are the hive mind when it comes to all things World of Warcraft. And if you are planning on going all out on your preparations, here is a shopping list for you all on one screen so you can prepare accordingly all of the items that I just listed out for quests. Moving on to consumables. If you're really looking to max out your leveling speed, maybe so you can hit max level that first week so you can raid that first week of pre-patch and start getting your Death Knight full TBC bis in preparation for Wrath, then you're going to want some consumables. Flask of Relentless Assault grants 120 attack power for 2 hours, and you can also add sharpening stones like Adamantite Sharpening Stone to even boost up your DPS more. You can get some Spicy Hot Tallbuck for well fed as you reach the level requirement, and then switch over to Roasted Cleft Hoof, Ravager Dogs, or Grilled Mudfish as well for that well fed buff. You can buy Scrolls of Strength V for 20 strength, and I would say those are pretty much the important ones. There's definitely defensive consumables, but Death Knights are pretty good and you shouldn't die too often, so just really going for the things that boost your damage. When it comes to gear, if you're looking to get your Death Knight as powerful as fast as possible, you could also purchase some BOE epics ahead of time for when you hit level 70. Hardcorium Band, Hardcorium Battle Fists, Swift Steel Bracers, and Red Belt of Battle are all good choices to start your DK off strong. The Engineering Goggles are also a great choice if you choose to go Engineering as well. And then there's even pre-patch exclusive items. So if you're not going to be leveling a Death Knight during pre-patch, there's also a ton of pre-patch content that you're going to want to take part in and get ready for. It's worth noting, as of patch 3.0.2, also known as the Wrath pre-patch or Echoes of Doom major content patch, it actually makes a lot of content inaccessible, so you might want to get it while you can, and this is your form of non-DK pre-patch preparation. For example, the Amani Warbear is no longer in the loot tables as of patch 3.0.2 because developers thought it would be too easy to get now and would no longer be viewed as an achievement, so they removed it. There's also the Scourge Invasion event, which will be upon us again, and you will have items that will only be available during this event up for grabs. Things like the Vampiric Batling Pet, which drops from a new boss, which has been added to the game during pre-patch, called Prince Tenris Mirkblood of the Sand Lan. He can be found in the previously locked servants' quarters located up the stairs just past Atumen the Huntsman in Karazhan. He also drops the Arcanite Ripper, which has an on-use effect to turn you into Bergrist, the undead guitarist part of the band, the Tauren Chieftains, which looks freaking awesome. There's also sets of gear, which look really cool. The Blessed Battle Gear of Undead Slaying, which is a plate set, Blessed Regalia of Undead Cleansing, which is a cloth set, and so on for leather and mail. The chest and legs part of the set drop off rare spawns and Shadows of Doom at the Invasion Shards. The gloves and shoulder parts of the sets can be purchased for 15 necrotic runes apiece. There's also the Argent Warhorn, which summons a level 60 Argent Knight, which will fight for you before popping bubble and hearthing away. It's actually pretty hilarious. I've heard some funny stories about that. This one's going to cost 40 necrotic runes. And you can also purchase Tabard of the Argent Dawn for 8 necrotic runes, which awards a feat of strength as an achievement, and this can only be gained from the Scourge invasion. So last chance here until Vanilla Classic Scourge invasion. There's also the iconic part of Wrath pre-patch that you won't want to miss out on, which is turning into a zombie. You can become infected by right-clicking a conspicuous crate or by killing a plagued roach. Both are found throughout major cities and in Booty Bay. Also, if you get attacked by a zombie, you can get afflicted by the disease. After 1 minute of being afflicted by said disease, which can be cleansed by paladins, shaman, priests, or even an argent healer, you'll be transformed into a zombie. You can't mount, you walk super slow, but you get a bunch of new skills like Mangle, which causes increased damage and decreases your target's armor, Retch, which is basically like puke, slows humanoids and heals zombies in an area effect, Beckoning Groan, which beckons up to 4 zombies to you. There's Lurch, which gives you and nearby zombies a temporary burst of speed. And most fun of all, Zombie Explosion, which bursts you into pieces, destroying yourself and infecting everyone around you, which is pretty cool. Now as a zombie, you slowly die, but you can heal with Retch, which is one of those new abilities, and you can also talk to other zombies. So this is a way to talk to players on the opposing faction, if on your server an opposing faction exists. And overall, I would just say this is a really cool event. Now, I can't believe I missed out on this event back in the day. I don't really remember what I was thinking, but pretty sure I just remember resubbing at one point. I logged in on my hunter sitting in Orgrimmar, instantly died upon logging in to a lag-filled death fest to either Blood Plague from Hakar or maybe the zombie invasion. I immediately said that and logged off, but yeah, this time around looking forward to checking it out. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and don't forget to hit that like button. Thanks a lot, and see you in the next one. Take care.